It's going well, man. How are you?
I'm good, man. Just, on the grind as always.
As always, has it been a bit hectic recently?
Yeah, no, I'm just yes, my life has been really crazy. I'm going to LA for a month next week. Got this remix album. I've got a book coming out, and I'm also trying to be a human being. So yeah, it's a lot.
Yeah, and part of being a human being involves a ton of other crap that you do. So you're definitely a busy man. Do you? When's the last time you got a chance to really chill out?
I don't think I've ever been chill for a moment in my life. It would have been years ago.
Yeah, so we're here to talk about mainly this new version of Parallel World that's coming out. When did you have the idea to kind of do this elongated version and bring in all these cool collaborators that you found?
Well, it's something I've always wanted to do for one of my records, and just with the success of the album, it just felt like a really good opportunity to have some alternate versions of the tracks, bring in some other producers that really have inspired me, especially Canadian artists, getting, Martin Booty Spoon, who produced a couple tracks on the original album. I was like, I need you to do a Chicago acid house version of the track of Africville's Revenge. So I'm really stoked on that. It was it would always be like that. It'd be I'd reach out to somebody and be CL, I think you should do kind of a trippy house version of Skyline, or it was in a way I was kind of executive producing these remixes by just hitting people up and give them ideas, but then they would take them and run and go in all these crazy directions. So yeah.
Was there some people that you wanted to collaborate with that you weren't able to get that maybe you're gonna get in the future?
Not for this project, but I guess for the original album I was trying to get JPEG Mafia on a track.
That would be nice,
but the timing didn't work out. But I think that will happen for the next record for sure.
Yeah, I love the way that you seem to find collaborators that are unexpected. You're not just going for people that are kind of in the same lane as you, and almost it feels like you're deliberately avoiding that. And I know that you've used some guys from the UK. I'm from the UK, so you're branching out over there as well. So is that a deliberate tactic to try and keep things weird, maybe?
I'll let you know, I don't have to try to keep things weird.
Yeah, I've seen that theme already.
No, for me, it's just following my own artistic instincts. It's just how I always feel. I'm always looking for people who are in their own world, pushing boundaries or just doing things differently. I really resonate with that whenever that was the thing with Jacques Green, where it's we are friends, and I got to know him just in kind of Montreal after party scene, right? But then a lot of people on paper would be why would you guys make music together? But to me, it seems very obvious. That's how I feel with everyone I always work with. I guess that's my producer kind of mindset is I can always see how certain things would work before other people would, I really I see you got Backwash in the background there, the album.
Yeah. Amazing.
Getting her on the record, that was it made a lot of sense to me, but the way we did it was maybe not what people would expect, and it's I actually really enjoy surprising the audience, and I always love to zig when other people would zag. It's it really comes quite naturally to me.
And obviously there's been elements of that throughout your career, but it seems to have got more and more obvious on the recent work, and that's obviously played to your advantage. The album, obviously everybody knows that won the Polaris Prize, so people are appreciating your take on things. Who do you see yourself is there other artists that you kind of see yourself in the same category as,
sonically?
Yeah, because your sound is so weird. We've already mentioned this word weird.
Yeah.
And because you're kind of pushing things in different directions on different tracks, there's not a lot of people that seem to be doing quite what you're doing. Who do you compare yourself to?
Oh, I feel there's a certain kind of crew of us who are just weird rappers, who have a certain sensibility. Like I definitely would say like Backwash, JPEG Mafia, Vince Staples, I think would be another person. We're on a similar wavelength. Open Mike Eagle, I would say as well. Fat Tony, whom I collaborate with all the time.
You went on tour with him too, right?
Yeah. We toured together in the fall, and a few times actually we've toured together. That's my American compatriot. Right. But yeah, I feel like just personally though, the kind of people that like I model myself after is like, you know, like I want to be like David Byrne, you know, like I want to have like a really like well-rounded artistic career and like be old and like people see me reading New York Times on like a bench or something later and it's like, damn, he made Parallel World, you know?
I'm kind of guessing. I know a little bit about your personal music taste, but I'm assuming that you listen to all kinds of stuff. What was the first music that made you want to be an artist, to take music seriously?
Well, here's the thing: is like my dad was a DJ. My dad was a radio DJ in Edmonton, Alberta, and he just played all kinds of music. That was the thing, is like he was pretty much the first person who put rap on the radio in Edmonton, right? He was the first person to play rap, and he was from New York originally, and it was like he brought that music, but he was also playing like funk and soul and just sometimes like just really random stuff. Like he'd play like Jimi Hendrix, or like he'd open the show with 2001 Space Odyssey theme, you know. It's like, so that whole idea of just like having all these different genre interests, it comes like really naturally to me, I think, from my dad.
Right.
But yeah, like the kind of you're asking what kind of stuff I listen to, or like
when you first when music really resonated with you early on. Like maybe what's the first artist or the first records that you felt were your own, maybe rather than what your dad was playing?
Oh, well, I would say like the first songs that I really like vibe with, I've always had like an obsession with just synth, you know, like I've always been very attracted to it. And I think really earliest thing would have been like video game soundtracks.
Okay.
You know, like I just for NES, you know, like Mega Man and Double Dragon and like that kind of stuff. Like I was always thinking like, why doesn't anyone like rap over this? Like even as just like a young kid, like that was like kind of the first thing. Like I also like loved kind of like 80s synth pop and stuff. Like you know, you'd be surprised by some of this, like, you know, like Thomas Dolby, like, you know, just like the cheesiest like 80s like synthy hits. Yeah. Like I always love that, you know, like Tainted Love, Soft Cell, like all that's just that kind of like dark synth sound. Like I love that very early age. But like, and hearing the stuff that my dad would play around the house too, is like he was playing a lot of funk music, which was very heavy synth stuff, like Cameo, like Word Up.
Yeah,
that was like that was playing in the house. I was just like, this shit's hard, like, you know, like so that was like kind of the earliest stuff. But then
I remember being in Paris one time and we went past this hotel and the guys from Cameo were stood outside the hotel and they were wearing those red jockstrap things that they used to wear. They were wearing them right outside the hotel. I'm like, well, everybody knows who you are.
Wow.
Yeah.
Ow.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, that was what I used to vibe on as a kid. And then like when I was for me trying to be rebellious and like not listen to my dad's kind of music, it would be like grunge.
Okay.
You know, like Nirvana. Like I was like obsessed with Kurt Cobain when I was a kid. Like I Radiohead, like, you know, I was a super alternative kid from an early age. And then when I started working at HMV and I was just like listening to every record that came out, every underground rap album, every like indie rock, like early 2000s thing, like I just became just this like musical encyclopedia.
Yeah, and that's obviously like all those influences have obviously come together to create something completely unique, which is what you're doing, and that's why people are paying attention to it. But it also means that you can almost go wherever you want now. Like, I mean, obviously winning certain prizes gives you that freedom to an extent, and you've always been a little bit weird. So do you feel like you have that just unlimited creativity where you can go where you want now? People expect the unexpected.
Well, I actually feel like it's kind of the opposite. I feel like having some success means there's something that people like and they want more of it. And so the idea is, you know, I think everyone would be really happy if I just kept making the same album over and over again. I could probably be more successful too if I just did that every time. Just like, it was like, yeah, let me just do the same shit every time. But I don't really, I don't decide like what I'm gonna do based on like any kind of like response I get. It's just like, I just kind of like do my own thing no matter what. And as I also don't really work on any kind of like schedule, like it's just like whenever I get the ideas, like I get the ideas, like I'm just gonna do what I'm gonna do. Is like, I already know what my next record is gonna be like, and I've started kind of working on it, and it's very quite different from the last one. Like I can already tell you, like it's people. I think people will be really surprised because it's gonna be really colorful and ecstatic energy.
Okay, that sounds very interesting.
Less dystopian vibes. Like I think people, I get in a lot of interviews where people are like, man, this is such a dark, like dingy, like grimy album, and it's dystopian and all this. And I'm like, well, it's just a reflection of what's going on outside. I don't know if you just check the news, it's the same shit. But to me, it's I thought it was I find Parallel World to be actually quite humorous. I find like a lot of it to be like a lot of like truth and jest and a lot of jokes. And you know, I was really influenced by comedy too. Like I was watching all the old like Richard Pryor and like Chris Rock specials and stuff, and I was like trying to like figure out like how did they make such a really like salient observation in such a short amount of time, like in just like the span of like a joke. They just highlight, you know, the racial dynamics of their time in such a piercing, like razor sharp way. And I was just trying to do that just like with every song that I did.
Obviously, you know, there's a lot of political elements to the lyrical content of your records, and that's obviously really important to you. And I know that you're very involved in the community. So how does the music help your activism, and how does the activism help your music?
Well, I think it's only recently that I realized that they can work together. You know, I used to think of them as very separate sides of my persona, you know, and it was really actually Twitter is really where I started realizing like, you know, like I got involved with doing kind of a fundraiser where I made this remix album, and I was like, okay, like for the first day or two, the proceeds will go to, you know, the Canadian Association of Black Journalists. Right. And people really responded to that well. And I was just like, it's like, how can I, you know, use my platform to further causes that are important to me or whatever? You know, it's like, how can I do that with my music? You know, like, I feel like why Parallel World was so well received is because I've just gotten better at combining all the different disparate parts of my career, where it's like writing, like I wrote like an essay about every song on the album on my newsletter, on my Substack, you know, and like that informed a lot of the press. Like people like were reading what I said, so there was just no ambiguity to what I was trying to do, you know. And it was like, then I was like, okay, how can I do that? Like get people as excited about like, you know, a viral tweet, as excited as they are when I have like a viral tweet on my own music. How do I like transfer that energy into like the musical world? So it's just like really just trying to create like an ecosystem for everything I'm doing, you know? And it's like, I just got better at doing that. And now it's like, I realize the power of like, you know, I started talking about, you know, the prime minister, talking about like MPs and stuff, how like they don't listen to me. And now they're just in my DMs, like hitting me up. And I realize it's like, okay, it's like, you know, this is actually what this shit's really all about. You know, it's like you know, holding people accountable, holding power, truth to power, you know, speaking truth to power. You know, that's like all my favorite music is like that too. I realized that. I was like, damn, I love Gil Scott-Heron, I love Public Enemy, The Clash, like, you know, Linton Kwesi Johnson. That was a big influence on me. And it's this idea of like, you could be a man of the people. You can speak to the time that you're in, Sly and the Family Stone, that kind of thing, you know, and it doesn't have to be like it's dated. Like, ironically, all those records are timeless, but they're about very specific things. And it's like, that's what I was trying to do with this record. I was just like, I felt extreme urgency, like I got to get this out. and people felt the urgency too.
Obviously, you grew up in Edmonton, and then you were here in Montreal for quite a while, and there's definitely a big connection with Montreal. And now you're in Toronto?
Yeah, I'm in Toronto now.
So with your activism, you know, you've spoken about how you talk about the politicians, but do you keep it on a ground level, like community based as well, depending on where you are?
Yeah, I mean, I think more so now. Like I don't think I really was aware enough when I lived in Montreal and like Edmonton. Like I didn't, you know, I like would rap. I realized I've always been kind of rapping about these issues like on a certain scale, you know, and only on this most recent record did I really go overt about it.
Mm.
But I think now I've just met more people who are on the ground and who are actually like, you know, I used to be reluctant to refer to myself as an activist because, you know, it's like I don't have the same knowledge base as somebody who's been doing it for, you know, a decade or whatever. But I realize also in activism, it's like everyone has like different roles, you know, and it's like I can contribute what I have access to help the cause. So for me, it's like, okay, like I have a platform and I can, you know, amplify certain causes, you know, like I can point people in a certain direction. It's like I can make, you know, something that people weren't really talking about as much a bigger deal just by writing a song about it, you know, like thinking about like Africville's Revenge, you know, just talking about, you know, disenfranchised Black communities in Canada. This is stuff that, you know, was I never learned in school, that, you know, was never given a platform until recently. And it's like I have the role to amplify these stories, you know?
Yeah. And did you feel like winning the Polaris Prize, it obviously gives you a bigger platform? Did you suddenly feel more responsibility to have to do that?
No, I just feel like in recent years, I've just felt more of a responsibility to do it. I feel like it's like my new policy is if there's something that I think I specifically can speak to it, I have to. I feel like it's like if I know, if I see something, if I see certain connections in some news story or something, it's like I got to speak up about it, you know, because that was what I was feeling like with the convoy stuff. Like at first I didn't want to say anything. I was just kind of like, oh man, like I just want to like pretend this isn't happening. But then I was just like, no, that's not my role. You know, it's like I have to point out what I see. And then that ended up resonating with tons of people. And like it was just like this like runaway train of like a tweet that I've had so many people in my DMs, and it was just really emotionally exhausting. But it's like I feel like if I'm able to see something that other people can't see, then I have a responsibility to say something.
But obviously there must be part of you that worries that it's going to work the opposite way, where people who don't agree with your viewpoint but maybe like your music, you know, there's going to be some conflict there. How do you feel about that?
I mean, that has happened. That's been happening more often. I notice. I assumed that people who listen to my music would kind of have an idea of like where I lean politically. I mean, it seems quite obvious. But I mean, that's the thing is like people don't listen to like lyrics. Some people like they, you know, that it's always the joke of like these Republicans, you know, coming out to like Rage Against the Machine music or something, you know, and they're like, yeah, we're raging against the machine. It's like, bro, you are the machine. But you know, I never diss anybody or anything. Like my thing is like, you know, I tried to talk to everybody who DMs me and just explain like my perspective and whatever. I don't really begrudge anybody for how they feel, like, especially like I just try to always keep it respectful with people who have taken the time and maybe supported me like financially or just supported my art, you know, like how bad can they be? They're listening to my tunes, how bad can they be? I don't know.
Yeah. So winning the prize, how has it changed things for you?
Yeah, well, I noticed that everything I say is a bit more interesting to other people.
Yeah.
Like I'm like, damn, like, you know, I end up in all these articles just from all these tweets and shit. And it's like Polaris Prize winner said this. So I was like, oh, okay, I get what's going on here. I think for a lot of people, the big change I've noticed is with other artists or like aspiring artists and stuff, is I feel like they see me as like this oracle now. You know, they're like, wow, you actually won it. You know, like it's,
Yeah.
and it feels like this, you know, and it's for, I know so many musicians, and for some people they feel like it's like this pipe dream, but it's like, I literally did it. You know, like it's someone you know did it. You know, so I've been giving a lot of advice. Like people have been asking me advice and stuff, and you know, I don't mind. I'll give people some free game.
Obviously, you support new artists. You know, you've got some of them on this deluxe version of the album, but you must want to collaborate with the big names as well. Who would be your dream collab?
Yeah, so I think my dream collab actually right now would be Charlie XCX.
Oh yeah, nice.
Love her music. I think she's just the vanguard of music today, just very futuristic, great songwriter, and just very fearless artist, you know. So I would love to make some music with her. And but you know, it's like that's my thing, is like I also just, my taste is so varied, but I love exactly what you're saying, is like amplifying younger artists who maybe don't have the same platform or whatever. Like I feel like I like having that curatorial lens to what I do. And I want people to know that if they listen to my record, they're going to like be put on an artist that they don't know. You know, I want that to be like an expectation, you know, whether it's like a producer I work with or some new rapper that they don't know, you know, it's like, I really relish that, you know. But yeah, I got like a monster list of people that I want to work with that hopefully I'll be seeing them soon as I work on this next record.
Okay, that sounds like you know something that we don't, but I'll let it go there.
We'll see.
So what's next for you? You've mentioned about the memoir that you're working on. What about live stuff? Have you got live days planned?
Yeah, I've got a couple festivals in the spring, playing Mission Creek in Iowa.
Right.
And then in the summer I've got a ton of festivals around Canada. Like you'll be seeing me, I'm sure. Like it's that I'm super excited for that, because I feel like I got a little bit of a taste of it in, you know, the summer, a little bit last year, the fall. Like I got to do a full American tour, and then it was just kind of like, oh damn, here we go again. You know, got to be patient, but looks like things are happening again, so we'll see.
Yeah, I hope so, finally. So yeah, well, we look forward to seeing you back in Montreal, maybe on one of those festival stages. But congratulations on everything that's happening. It sounds like it's a very exciting and prolific time for you. So yeah, thanks for spending some time chatting with me, and stay weird.
Yeah, hey, I can't help it. Thanks for having me.
All right, take care. All the best.
Peace.